Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fairfax. We hope you enjoy this sermon from a recent Sunday worship service.
In trying to find inspiration for this year's service, I went back to the actual Bible passage that speaks to the Easter story, Matthew 28, which I will now read for you. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb, and suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descending from heaven came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has been raised, as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead, and indeed he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. And this is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. Thus endeth the reading. Of course, there is so much more to the story that happens before and after, but as I was reading this, so many thoughts came to my mind about the story of the real Jesus, not the supernatural or mythological figure. For instance, Jesus was a Jewish teacher, a rabbi, if you will, and he amassed a substantial following. Now, those in charge in Rome, those that one might describe as colonial powers, didn't like his teachings or the way he opposed the rule of the people in power. Then I had this daydream where I thought, what if this story followed a Hollywood script, which I played out then in my mind? Can you imagine me sitting in front of my computer just daydreaming about this? I started coming up with an elaborate plot where Jesus was certainly injured from the brutality of the oppressors, but much like in a Hollywood film, his followers and supporters actually saved him and made it look like he died and been placed in the tomb, but later, as a part of the plot of my script, his supporters also made it look like it was a miracle that he was not there when the tomb was opened for the first time. I realize what I'm saying in some religious circles might be considered blasphemy. But after all, we are Unitarian Universalists, so I'm hoping not to get in trouble for my Hollywood-induced script writing in my head. I don't know who you'd report me to, but please don't. Part of the point of the story, steering away from the traditional theological understanding of Jesus, is, what if we could stop arguing or caring about whether Jesus was a supernatural figure or debating how in the world someone rises from the dead, but instead we would focus on the call of the teachings or the core of the ideas he was trying to birth into the world. So the actual point of my story is that he isn't actually rising from the dead, but because of the need of the world to think he did, the need for something miraculous to happen, the real person of Jesus was saved by people because he had some unheard and important things to say. The real underlying story of my fictitious movie is really about how those who bring messages of love and peace into the world often are under incredible pressure and are incredible threats to those in power. And by power, I don't mean just political power, but those who perceive threats to their power also because of their wealth or perceived positions of control or authority in society in general. It's amazing to me that those who have been champions for the poor, those who advocate for those on the margins, those who are opposed to solving problems through violent confrontation, are those who are often literally or figuratively crucified for their work or their words. This is why this story, whether one is Christian or not, and if those of us who are not Christian can get past the often difficult linkage the Jesus story has with institutions of religious authority we may not agree with, that's why this story can actually have such deep meaning. What it means is that there are some ideas you cannot kill, and that those ideas have lives of their own, and that they will continue to live on in spite the efforts of those who try to suppress them through authoritarianism or desires for dictatorships. Listen, I understand that in so many religious communities around the world today, there are interpretations of this holiday that many of us wouldn't necessarily agree with. But if I may be so bold, there are ideas in this story that need to survive, to be resurrected, if you will, again and again and again. Ideas like, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. And in these days, this one for sure. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. May that be so, and amen.
Thank you for listening to this sermon from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fairfax. To listen to more sermon podcasts, go to uucf.org/worship-services and scroll down to sermon podcasts.